Introduction. When we think about intimacy, most people focus on what happens physically, but psychology tells us that every intimate act, especially oral intimacy, carries deep emotional meaning. It's not just about pleasure, it's about trust, vulnerability, and emotional safety. Today, we'll explore the psychological layers behind oral intimacy, what it reveals about human desire, relationships, and the way we connect. Trust and vulnerability. From a psychological point of view, oral intimacy represents one of the highest levels of trust between two people. That's because it requires emotional comfort, communication, and mutual respect. When both partners feel safe and respected, the act becomes a symbol of emotional surrender, not control. It's a space where vulnerability and acceptance meet, allowing partners to express affection beyond words. Power dynamics and emotional exchange. Oral intimacy can also highlight power balance and emotional roles within a relationship. Sometimes, one partner might express affection by giving, as a gesture of love or devotion. Other times, it can expose deeper emotional needs, like the desire to feel wanted or valued. Psychologists suggest that understanding these emotional undercurrents helps couples build healthier, more balanced intimacy, free from pressure or ego. It's not about dominance or submission. It's about connection and emotional reciprocity. Desire and psychological arousal. Unlike what most people assume, desire doesn't just come from the body. It starts in the mind. For many, oral intimacy represents mental stimulation, admiration, and emotional appreciation. When done with care and enthusiasm, it signals, I value you, I trust you, and I want you to feel good. That's why, for many couples, oral acts become a way to express deep affection, not just physical need. In psychology, this is known as empathic arousal, pleasure that comes from giving, not just receiving. Emotional safety and long-term satisfaction studies show that couples who build emotional safety in their sexual lives report higher levels of intimacy, communication, and satisfaction overall. Why? Because they're not afraid to talk openly about what they enjoy or fear. Open conversation around intimacy, including oral acts, reduces shame, increases confidence, and strengthens relationships. In short, emotional safety fuels physical satisfaction. The mind-body connection. Every act of affection activates the brain's reward system, releasing oxytocin, dopamine, and serotonin. These neurochemicals don't just bring pleasure. They strengthen trust, reduce anxiety, and deepen attachment. So in many ways, intimacy isn't just a physical experience. It's emotional therapy shared between two people. Conclusion. The psychology of oral intimacy goes far beyond the surface. It's a reflection of trust, emotional comfort, and genuine care between partners. When we approach intimacy with respect, curiosity, and empathy, we create a connection that's both emotionally rich and physically fulfilling. Because at its core, true pleasure is not about performance. It's about connection. Surprising psychology. Facts about oral intimacy, human behavior, and emotional connection. Oral intimacy is one of those topics people often joke about, but rarely understand from a scientific or psychological perspective. While it's usually seen as something purely physical, research in psychology and human behavior shows that it plays a much deeper role in emotional bonding, confidence, and connection between partners. Whether you're curious or simply want to understand the science of intimacy, here are 4 psychology-backed facts about oral sex that might surprise you. It strengthens emotional bonds. Through chemistry, every form of affectionate touch, including oral intimacy, triggers the release of oxytocin, the hormone often called the love chemical. This hormone deepens trust, closeness, and attachment between partners. Couples who regularly share affectionate acts like oral stimulation tend to report higher emotional satisfaction, stronger trust, and better communication. In short, it's not just about physical pleasure. It's about building emotional safety and connection. It reflects power, care, Or vulnerability psychologists say that how someone approaches oral intimacy can reveal underlying emotions or insecurities. For some, giving pleasure is an act of generosity or devotion. For others, it might stem from performance pressure or a desire to feel accepted. Similarly, refusing oral acts can be linked to body image issues, shame, or fear of vulnerability. Understanding why someone behaves a certain way, rather than judging, helps partners connect with more empathy and less misunderstanding. Men and women often interpret it differently. Research shows that men often view oral sex as a sign of being desired, while women may associate it more with emotional intimacy or self-consciousness. These differences can create communication gaps if not discussed openly. Our perception of oral intimacy is shaped by personal experiences, upbringing, and cultural or religious messages. That's why honest, shame-free conversations about preferences and comfort levels are so important in building mutual trust. It can positively affect mood and mental health, temporarily. Studies have found that sexual activity, including oral intimacy, can release compounds like dopamine, serotonin, and oxytocin, which are known to elevate mood and reduce stress. While it's not a substitute for professional mental health care, safe and consensual intimacy can temporarily reduce anxiety and promote emotional well-being. It's one of the many natural ways human connection influences the mind. Final thought: oral intimacy isn't just about what happens physically. It's a complex form of communication, trust, and emotional resonance. The more we understand the psychology and biology behind it, the healthier and more fulfilling our relationships can become, both emotionally and physically. The chemistry behind the spark. When we meet someone who excites us, the brain releases a cocktail of dopamine, norepinephrine, and phenylethylamine, the same chemicals that create motivation and euphoria. That rush is why new love can feel so energizing or even addictive. It's your body's natural reward system saying, "Pay attention, this person matters." Familiarity and pattern. Recognition psychologists say we often feel attracted to people who subconsciously remind us of comfort, familiarity, or emotional patterns from our past. It's not about cloning our parents or exes. It's about the emotional signals our brains learn to associate with safety or excitement. That's why sometimes you meet someone new but feel like you've known them forever. The power of scent and voice attraction isn't only visual. Subtle, biological signals like body scent and vocal tone strongly influence our perception of compatibility. These cues are linked to genetic diversity and hormone levels, guiding us toward partners who may complement our own biology. It's a quiet language of chemistry that we rarely notice but always feel. Emotional intelligence and perceived safety beyond physical chemistry. Emotional safety is one of the strongest triggers of long-term attraction. When someone listens, shows empathy, or makes you laugh, the brain releases oxytocin, reinforcing trust and connection. That's why people who make us feel understood often seem more attractive over time. Our minds associate emotional comfort with desire. Shared values and life goals research shows that lasting attraction depends less on looks and more on alignment of values, humor, and goals. The more your worldview matches another's, the easier it becomes for both minds to sync emotionally and physically. That shared direction transforms initial chemistry into meaningful connection. Conclusion: attraction is both science and story. Part biology, part psychology. It begins as chemistry but deepens through communication, trust, and shared purpose. Understanding what draws us to others helps us build healthier, more conscious relationships, where connection grows beyond the first spark. Because real attraction isn't just about who excites your senses, it's about who speaks to your mind and calms your heart.